Well, hello, LinkedIn friends. I'm Lisa Hufford, founder and CEO of Simplicity Consulting. And today we are going to build your personal brand. I am so excited to be here with you. For those of you that have been through this workshop or you're new to it, I'm really hoping you're going to take away some key insights, maybe affirm some things you know about yourself, or maybe have some ahas of things you want to work on a little bit more. I developed this content about 10 years ago because of my own transition from corporate to consultant. I realized I needed something to stand out. And then now advising thousands of consultants over the 15 years that I've managed Simplicity Consulting, I've observed there are key characteristics to successful consultants. And so the goal today with personal brand is it's really for anybody, because look, today we all need to stand out, whether we're in our jobs currently and we want to aspire to the next leadership position, whether we're out looking for work or we're a consultant looking for the next project. It truly is about understanding what motivates each one of us right now, what it is that we want to put out to the world, so that is what we attract, and ultimately we do the work we love. So I'm hoping today in this short 30 minutes, we're going to really run through a lot of information. So if you've downloaded the playbook, great, pull it out. If you haven't, I'll give you the link at the end. You can download the free playbook. So I'm going to go over things very quickly. So feel free to get that playbook, spend some more time on building out your personal brand. So here at Simplicity Consulting, we help big companies go to market faster by building on-demand teams. So we place top marketing talent on projects with clients, and it really is about helping our consultants that come through our doors, help them understand what's the work they love to do. What do they want to do best? What do they love to do? What are they passionate about doing? And then matching them up with projects with our clients so they can do that work and deliver a great value, and everybody wins. That's really what we're all about here at Simplicity. And our mission is to help everyone thrive in this new world of work, which is why we're doing this LinkedIn Live for you today and sharing this personal brand content and information. Okay, so we are going to get started with the presentation. It'll come up here in just a moment. That's great. We're going to talk about your personal brand for professional success. So let's just dive right into it. The first question I get from a lot of people, and we'll go to the next slide here, is why do I need this thing called a personal brand? And the reality is you have one whether you realize it or not. So developing your personal brand and doing this internal work today is really about understanding what you want to say and communicate intentionally to the world. So it's really the power of your words and your actions of what you want. So this is taking that time, going inward and really checking in with yourself and ensuring that the words you're saying about the work you do are actually supporting how you want others to perceive you. So perception's reality. We live in a world where we all see the world through kind of our rose-colored lenses based on our experiences, and we're all moving so fast. So oftentimes we look on LinkedIn, we scan someone's information, we're looking for keywords. And so it's really on each of us to be very intentional and articulate in telling our story. And that starts with the overall brand of who we are, what we're all about and why. We're going to talk about that. And then really making sure that our experience showcases exactly what that brand is, so that we are telling a story to the market that people can get easily. And then they basically can take the words we're saying about ourselves and the evidence that we are portraying to the world, and they can really understand what we're about. And that will attract the work that we want. So that's why you need one. And what is it? When we think about brands today, I like to think about great brands. And if you think about any brand that you're attracted to, why are you attracted to that brand? What is it? Great brands put a stake in the ground and they stand for something. They don't try to be everything to everyone. Those brands don't survive. So great brands know that they might not be for everybody. There's going to be some people that are not interested in what they have to offer the market, and that's okay, because they are targeting specific customers. So what we can learn from this as people is in a way, really, we are brands. Our name is a brand and what we stand for. So when we're out there in the market, it's really important for us to know with intentionality what we want, and know that we're actually not looking for everything everywhere all the time. It really is about narrowing your focus and really getting clear on what you want so that you can stand out. In this marketplace that's very crowded, we all have to stand out, whether you're going for your next promotion in your job or whether you're looking for the next opportunity. It's about being clear about who you are and how you stand out. When I've taught this workshop in the past, one of the brands that comes up often is Nordstrom. And I think Nordstrom is a great example of a brand that everyone associates with customer service. And that didn't happen accidentally. Nordstrom set out to build everything around customer service. Every experience that you would have is about customer service. So when you think about that, Nordstrom as a brand, they're probably turning away a lot of customers that aren't interested in customer service. But that's okay. They are being clear about who they are, and they don't deviate from really what their brand is about. So that's what we talk about when we're thinking about ourselves. It's not being everything to everybody, not being so open that people don't know how to think about us. It's really about getting more narrow. And in many cases, for many of us that have worked a long time with a lot of experience, getting narrow might actually feel really uncomfortable because it feels like we're crowding out opportunities. But I'm going to invite you to shift your perspective and really think about the more narrow you get, actually, the more you can stand out in this world, because most people are pretty broad. So if you go narrow, you're going to stand out for those exact opportunities that you really want. So let's move on to talking about really what is your personal brand. So this is my definition. It's a combination of your strengths and your passion. So we're going to talk a lot about how do you articulate what you're naturally good at, what's easy for you to do, and what do you really love to do, and actually showcase it to the market. So when I think about personal brand, I think a lot about the analogy of a tree, because when you look at a tree, it had to start with a root structure under the ground. You don't see the root structure developing before the tree actually comes above the ground. And the work we're doing today is really that kind of under the ground work within each of us that may take time. You don't rush this personal brand work, because it may take some time for you to really reflect on what you want. Some of you might be doing this work and you're like, I got it. I know exactly what I'm going to do, and I'm off to the races. But some of us, we really do need to be patient with ourselves when we really kind of go inside, because for many of us, what I've observed over the years is we've never really taken that time to reflect on what it is that we actually want, and then have the confidence and credibility to verbalize and really go out to the market and ask for it. So that's really the goal of this personal brand workshop, is to give you the confidence and the credibility to really go out into the market and the marketplace and own your greatness. That's really what this is all about. So think of this as kind of your root work under the ground, defining your story. We're defining your story today. And then once you're clear on that and really confident about it, then you can go out and tell your story, right? That's the above ground, that's the tree coming out. So many people I see out there telling their story, kind of saying whatever, I want this, I want that, putting a lot of words on LinkedIn, just their resume, cut and paste. And then they're frustrated, or they're getting job opportunities that don't align with what they want. And they kind of can feel defeated and maybe, lose some confidence. So what I'm proposing to you today is to shift your perspective and really define your story clearly. It starts with you, each one of you. Define your story clearly, and then that helps you really attract what it is you want in the marketplace. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the workshop portion. So if you have that playbook, pull it out. If you don't, that's okay. Just get yourself a pen and a paper if you want to take some notes for things that you want to think about. As Oscar Wilde says, be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. I love that quote. It's so true. Each one of you has unique gifts and talents. The world needs them, and it's your job to figure out what they are. So we're going to dive into the 5 steps to building your personal brand so that you can uncover your unique gifts and talents, and you can confidently articulate them to the world and ultimately have work satisfaction. So let's move on to the first step, which is about being aware. So being aware is about thinking about who you admire and why. So think about people that you're attracted to. Maybe they're famous celebrities or just people people you work with. And more importantly, think about the attributes of those people. What is it that you really are attracted to? Are they creative? Are they intelligent? Are they disciplined? Whatever it is for you, write those words down of the attributes of people that you really admire, And then the awareness exercise is to reflect on those words you write down and ask yourself, gosh, are those words that I want people to say about me? Because oftentimes we're attracted to people we want to be like. And so you might be able to identify some of your authentic words even just by thinking about people that you really admire. So let's move on to the next step, which is about being unique. So this is about tapping your strength and thinking about what's effortless for you to do. So oftentimes, especially working with people that have been in the market for over 20 years with a whole bunch of different kinds of work experience, they forget. We kind of have lost sight of what's easy for us. And many of us might have fallen in the trap. I know I did when I was working in corporate, of focusing on everything that's hard. Like, okay, yeah, you do these things really well, but what are the really hard things? And not that that's bad, not that you shouldn't grow, but this exercise is really thinking about what feels so easy for you. You almost overlook it. I've had many people over the years say things to me like, well, I'm a really good writer, but isn't everybody a good writer? And no, actually, that is your greatness. If that's easy for you, then own that. And you really love that and you want to do that. Some people are amazing at creating order out of chaos as project managers. We place a lot of project managers and they love to come into a messy situation and clean it up. That is a skill and a talent and a gift. Not everyone can do that. So whatever it is for you, when you think about that something that's effortless, and this is probably something that even as a young child, you just naturally did. And maybe you're doing it today, or maybe you kind of got away from it and you want to think about moving back to really those skills that feel easy for you and kind of put you in that place of where you feel like you're making the most impact and even kind of in that flow state. If you've heard of that term before, where you can be doing some work and you lose all track of time because you're so immersed, that's a clue that that's your strength and that's what's effortless and easy for you to do. And it gives you an opportunity to think, like, do I want to lean into that a little bit more? Okay, let's move on to the third one. This is about being confident. I think one of the most asked questions I get is, how do I develop my confidence? So if that's you, this exercise you're going to love. So this is all about describing a memorable success story, professional success story. So what the exercise is this. I want you to take time after this workshop to think about 3 professional success stories, 3 times in your career where you really felt like you just hit it out of the park. You were on top of the world. Maybe you just had a great project go well. Maybe you got promoted or recognized or something that really stuck with you, that made you feel like, oh my God, I just nailed that. Okay, I want you to put yourself back in that moment. And I want you to write down where you were, what were you doing, what were the attributes of the work you were doing. And if you do this for 3 stories, and don't judge just the first things that come to your mind, then reflect and look at what you write, because there may be commonality about things that you feel really good about. And so then the question for yourself is, gosh, if that really inspired me and made me feel great, then how can I do more of that? How can I take those wins and package them up in a way to tell that story? So the more you focus on your successes, you're crowding out all that negative thought in your mind, right? And you all have success. I know, because I've taught this workshop so many times to many different people. And whenever this exercise comes up, everyone has at least one amazing success story. Nobody I've ever talked to doesn't have a success story. So I know you have many success stories. So here's the question: which ones do you want to emphasize? And that's really about what's the work you want to do next? What's that next role you want to take? And where have you demonstrated those skills in your previous success stories? How can you package that story up in a way where you're talking about what you did, the results you delivered, and then being able to articulate that in a 10-second kind of overview, and as well as a minute. So this is something you could use when you're in your review, whether you're in an interview, whether you're at cocktails. And when we get back to having cocktail and networking events, these stories are really, truly your evidence of your brand. And this is about really owning who you are. So this is a really important exercise that I'm going to encourage you, like I said, spend more time on this one. If anything out of this workshop, this is the one I encourage you to really spend some more time on. Okay, let's move on to the 4th one. And that's about being teachable. So what's the one thing you'll do to build your skills? So this is about recognizing that learning, ongoing learning, is a responsibility that each one of us has to take on. And it's about recognizing also that where do we want to go next and what do we need to do? There's a lot of different paths to take. There's no one perfect path. So some people say, you know, I really need a mentor in a certain area. For some people, it might be listening to podcasts because they can do that while they're walking the dog or doing errands, and that's a way that they're going to continue to learn. Some people, it's attending an event, now virtual events. Some people, it's an online training. It could be reading books. It could be a whole host of things when you think about building your skills. But this kind of depends on where your brand is. If you want to evolve, like I've had people over the years say to me, how do I really improve and learn about digital marketing? So if that's you, then there's a few ideas. You can find someone that's doing the work and you can ask them to coffee and ask them what they do and if they will teach you. You can go find online trainings. You can go find a mentor and you can learn about those roles. If you're looking to shift roles completely, that's really getting out and finding people doing the work you think you want to do and talking to them. So what is it that you're going to do to build your skills? And that could be around either developing your skills, developing your network, and continuing to become that master of whatever it is you're doing, whatever that means for your expertise area. How can you up-level your skills and really show up as an expert and as a leader, as a master in your area? And this is all about being proactive, being that self-starter, and really being passionate about that work you're doing. Okay, now we're going to move on to the fifth one, which is about being kind to yourself. So this is about recognizing that we all have inner critics, that we have just talked about a lot of things about building your brand, about telling your stories, about being confident. And I have a lot of people say to me over the years, yeah, but Lisa, if I say these things, I feel like I'm bragging or I feel like I'm arrogant. You know, who am I to ask for these kind of things? So if that's you, I'm going to tell you just to take a moment to recognize it's just your inner critic popping up. We all have it. And don't be afraid of it. Just acknowledge it's there and be kind to yourself, because personal brand work is really about putting yourself out there. It's about being courageous about who you are and about being vulnerable. And the reality is we're not going to be for everybody. So we're going to have to deal with rejection, and nobody likes to deal with rejection, but it's okay, because part of the process is knowing who you are and continuing to find those clients, those opportunities really where you're a match and you can go in and do your thing and add your value. Because when you do that, it's magic. I mean, I've just seen it so many times. When you can find it and be patient with it, it's magic. So be kind to yourself. Recognize that you might have, some of us might have more work to do than others about building our confidence and remembering our greatness. And we need to practice these stories verbally, practice them with people you trust. Practice them in a mirror if you need to. Write them down. You can use your audio, record yourself, but get to the point where once you start doing this and really talking about your success, it will help build your confidence and kind of crowd out the inner critic to really believe who you are, which is an awesome person with great gifts and talents that the world needs. Okay, so now we're going to move on to putting it all together. So this is about building your personal brand statement. Now, this isn't like a hard and fast statement like an elevator pitch. I don't really like that term. This is really about having a fluid, flexible way to talk about yourself. And it really comprises two elements, your what and your why. Your what is what most people say all the time, like I'm a project manager, I'm a CEO, it's your title. And that's fine. But I think what people really want to know is your why. Why do you do the work you love to do? What really motivates you about that work? So when you get really clear on your why, sometimes you can flip these around and even lead with them. You know, for me, my why is I love helping people see options and own the life they want. In my role currently as CEO at Simplicity, this is how I kind of live out my own mission, my why. But in my previous jobs, I really also did that too. And so there's lots of roles each of us play throughout our entire life that probably, but the why is probably that thread that really is consistent. So it's about checking in, making sure you are really living out your why and in every project and every opportunity that you have. Okay, and now we're going to move on to some common questions. So in the meantime, if you have any comments, any questions as you're kind of going through this, put them in the chat. I'm going to try to get to them. We've got about 9 minutes left. So I'm going to share with you today that some common questions that I get all the time. So this might be on your mind. And I thought I would just kind of assume that you probably are thinking these things too. So many people that have come to me over the years have a lot of experience, like amazing experience, by the way. Like, I'm blown away by the resumes I've seen. And what I've seen time and time again is oftentimes they've done so many things and they've been so successful, but they never really paused to think about what it all translates to. It's been a lot of successes, but what is that overarching statement? What's that goal? What is it that they really kind of want to put the overall wrapper and package themselves up to say that they do? That's really the essence of your personal brand and thinking about all your experience. So I talked a bit earlier about narrowing it down. And this can feel really uncomfortable to a lot of people that have done a lot of different things. So I'm going to invite you to really spend some time looking at all your experiences, really thinking about those success stories that you wrote down, and really asking yourself, is that the work I want to do next? Think about like the next 2 years. I mean, if the pandemic has taught us anything, it's that we have to be flexible. We have to be adaptable. We probably can't plan too far out, but we can think about, I think, the next 2 years. And if you think about 2 years from now, what's the work you want to say you've done? What is it that you'll be most excited and proud of? So if you can think about that and then also reflect on the work you have done that can support and really demonstrate credibility for that future work, then that's how you really can translate and kind of narrow in. And then also on LinkedIn, which is such a powerful tool, make sure you're really showcasing these stories, not everything you've ever done, but those stories that really emphasize the work that you want. Because you really shouldn't just be your online resume, I don't think, on LinkedIn. I think it should really be back to the story you want to tell. So while you should include all your work experience, you should really bubble up and highlight the projects and the successes on LinkedIn that really reinforce your headline, which is your personal brand statement and what you really want to be known for. Okay, how do I change my brand if it's not how I want to be perceived for future work? Oh, this is a great one. So if you're one of these people who maybe you're in a career transition, whether you're changing industries or you want to change completely, or maybe your job's kind of gone away and it's now evolved. So this is about looking at the elements of the work you've done and thinking about, well, what can translate? Because oftentimes maybe not everything can translate if you're really wanting to look for a completely different line of work. There might be some things, there might be relationship skills that translate, how you communicate, how you manage your time and your work, how you work with your colleagues. These are things that translate across any job. And then if it's about skills, you're learning new skills, then that's back to what we talked about earlier about showing how you are investing in yourself and you're taking online trainings, you're learning a new skill, you're being proactive about developing it and wanting that opportunity to really position yourself. And then the last one here before I move on to the LinkedIn questions is, how do I increase my confidence? So we talked a little bit about this with your professional success stories, and I'm going to go back and really reinforce that with you. Take that time to really think about your success stories to increase your confidence, practice them. That really is your greatness. Okay, so we got a question from Colleen. What are the most important channels to use for personal brand building right now? Oh, that's a great question. I think when you say channels, you mean social media channels, but you can type in if you mean something different, Colleen. But I think that, look, there's no doubt LinkedIn is the go-to for the professional network right now. And absolutely, LinkedIn needs to be clear. And think about everything you do, every action you take, is it supporting how you want to come across? One of the things we didn't really get into today, but when I do this workshop longer, is really thinking about your authentic words. So if you've gone through the exercises and you look at some of the key words that have popped up, you're probably going to notice there's certain words that really resonate with you. And I want you to really be aware of that. And so the ideal when I think about these success stories is you can have 3 words and 3 success stories. It kind of helps you remember what and focus on what you want to talk about yourself. And then no matter what channels you're in, you kind of have you have your stories ready and you have your words ready. So when you think about authentic words, you could just write down, I mean, you could even do a values exercise for some of you who've done that before, like what values are really important to you. That's back to that those are the brands you're attracted to, probably share your same values. And then thinking about like, how do you want to really showcase yourself to the world? What do you really want to be known for? And for example, if a word, like one of my words is generous, that word is really important to me. And it means a lot of different things. It means how I give my money, how I give my time, how I support others. So generosity is a word. So why is that a word for me? Because when I say it, I feel it like in my body. So that's how you know you have a right word around your authentic words. And I can definitely tell a lot of stories if I'm generous, how I'm on 2 boards of business schools and I do a lot of mentoring with students, how we give to the community. I support women entrepreneurs. So you can see I can tell some stories around my words. So when we think about the stories you tell in your authentic words, that's how you can really kind of tell your whole brand in a really succinct, intentional way. So when we think about channels, back to Colleen's question, the most important channels for personal brand building, I'm going to go back to thinking, I'm really going to say LinkedIn clearly is the place I feel like everyone goes to. But don't discount, Facebook and Instagram and the other social channels. I mean, it probably also depends on who you are, as far as the work you do, and if you're on certain channels for professional or more personal. But we all know that everything's pretty open these days, so just making sure you're consistent across different channels. You're not living like completely different lives on different social media outlets. So hopefully I answered your question, Colleen. And if you have any further questions, please either put them in the chat or we got 2 more minutes. So what we're going to do is, if you have more questions, we're definitely going to be doing follow-on posts. So if you're kind of think of something after the fact, please reach out to us and let us know, and we can make sure we include it in a follow-on post for you. So I'm going to close with one of my favorite quotes by Howard Thurman, which I really feel like summarizes the essence of personal brand. And that is, don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive and go do it. Because what the world needs is more people who have come alive. And so my hope for you is that you find that thing that makes you come alive and you own it with confidence and credibility, and you go do it, because the world needs your gifts and talents. And now we have we're going to move on to the action slide. So take action. If you're kind of like, okay, now what? I've got all these ideas. I've got all these words, Lisa. What do I do? So if you haven't already downloaded the playbook, go to simplicityci.com, scroll down on the homepage at the bottom, free playbook, download it. It's basically what I did here. 5 questions, personal brand statement. Reach out to us if you, or you can reach out to me if you have any specific questions. You're kind of chewing on something you're not sure about. This is what our team does all day long. We love working with people on their personal brand statement and help them realize and really define the work they love to do. Put your personal brand in action. So we are going to do a follow-on, being that this is a new year, and I think we're all we're so excited to be in 2021. We're all optimistic about change and a great year. This is really your year to own what you want. If you haven't done it already, now is your time. Put it in action. We're going to do another LinkedIn Live next month, focusing on really how to tell your brand story consistently everywhere. This is really about taking your brand, kind of what we talked about today, do this define your story work. And then next month is all about like, okay, now you're going to be ready to just go tell your story consistently. Take the time. I'm really going to encourage you, take some quiet moments to really reflect and really kind of get in touch with what you want. That's going to help you just be so confident and really attract what it is you want next. So be sure to follow Simplicity on LinkedIn. That's how you'll get alerted. And thank you so much for a very fast session on personal brand. I hope you all walked away with something to help you develop more confidence and credibility and own your personal brand and really do the work that you love. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great day.